By the way, I don't know what your plans are this week. Cancel all of them. We're giving breakdowns to the keys of the game. This just in. If you stop Alabama from their quarterback running around, they have no offense.
Oh, no.
By
the
the way,
commenters are already commenting.
I know you're here, and sincerely, we love you. And we're going to tell you why next on Locked On Bulldogs.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. So happy that you're here, no matter what team you cheer for. And want to let you know that today's episode brought to you by PrizePicks, prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege. More on them in a second. Speaking of PrizePicks and our other fantastic sponsors, let me get out ahead of this one. We are compensated financially for our work here on the podcast. But make no mistake, and I want to just put it out into the ether early and often here on the show. Clint and myself, we are what you like to call Georgia fans. We're fans of the Georgia football team. That's really the premise of this show. You know, everybody's got to have a lane that they try to stick to. There are people out there who are breaking down film. There are people out there who are texting high school juniors and trying to figure out where they're going to commit to college. That's not our lane.
Nope.
Our lane is we're fans of Georgia. And so if that troubles you, I don't know, maybe you need to deal with it. The fact that we're compensated for this, just imagine, Clint, imagine you were compensated for singing country and Western tunes, right?
But I
imagine that was the case.
Enjoy country Western tunes.
For some of you, you will probably have to imagine that you are compensated for singing country and Western tunes. But just imagine, just imagine you were compensated financially for that, and it wasn't just a hobby.
Okay.
You would probably still have opinions about which country and Western musicians were really good and talented, and which ones were has-been hacks that are living off their past success. You would probably, even though you are a professional compensated for you'd probably still have those opinions. That's sort of like us. We do have strong opinions. We do think Georgia's going to win the game. Alabama fans in the comment section, we see you. We hear you. And even though we don't have time to respond to all of you individually, just know that we do sincerely love that you are here with us this week.
Yeah. No, Georgia fan, keep it up. Don't be deterred by this fact. 2 years ago is the one thing Bama has. The second thing they have is Saban has a better winning percentage against Kirby.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, the third thing they have is Atlanta Juju.
Yeah.
That we can't win in a certain building.
Other than tarot cards.
You're right.
Give me metrics. Again, I'm a professional because I look at the games and I diagnose the games. Just because the metrics disagree with your feelings does not mean your feelings are victorious. Okay.
Speaking of Alabama fans' feelings, the college football playoff rankings were announced today. And
how'd that go?
Boy, the Twitter is spiraling right now. Like we have a full-blown prepare for the worst. Alabama fan is down bad. They have already just submitted to the fact that even if they win on Saturday, they're probably not going to make the college football playoff. You hate to see it. You do hate to see it. Also, don't worry about that. That scenario is not going to play out because you're not going to win on Saturday. And so it's going to be fine.
We're going to talk about the keys to the game, the SEC championship right now. And let's be very, very professional about it. Shall we, Daniel?
Let's do that. I think number one key to me for the way that this game plays out is, can Georgia's offense do what we have seen Georgia's offense do consistently week in and week out all season long? or will Alabama's defense, which is quite good.
Yeah.
And if you look across the board, Alabama they've given up some points to some teams this year, right? Like they gave up 20 points to Tennessee, 21 points to Kentucky, 24 points to Auburn, 17 points to Mississippi State. Like these are not great teams, and they have given up some points. But by and large, if you look at those teams' season-long average offensive production, Alabama has done a pretty good job of holding teams moderately under their typical level of production for the season. Now, Georgia is averaging about 40 points a game this season. And so if Alabama is able to hold them only moderately under, if Alabama is only able to do what they have consistently done all season, which is hold teams slightly below their season averages, that puts Georgia in the mid-30s, somewhere in the mid-30s, right? Let's say 33 to 35 point range. I don't think Alabama can score that many points against Georgia. And that's not because I'm a homer or what have you. I just don't think that Alabama's offense is geared to score that many points against a team like Georgia. If you look at the games this season when Alabama has managed to score that many points, 34 against Tennessee, 49 against Kentucky, and 42 against LSU. I'm obviously not going to 40 against Mississippi State.
Thank you.
I'm not talking about teams like Chattanooga or South Florida, which you scored 17 against, or any of the other games. When Alabama has been able to score in the mid-30s or higher, it has not come against teams that are even remotely in the neighborhood of Georgia defensively.
Let's go closest. Daniel, I'm going to list teams. You tell me when I get close to Georgia's defense. Okay? Because I'm going to do the same thing almost that you did. Ole Miss, is that close to Georgia's defense?
It's not.
Okay. 24 points against Ole Miss. Georgia better defense. Texas, is Texas near Georgia's defense?
Texas is closer than Ole Miss.
Okay, 24 points against Texas.
Same point total.
Okay, same point total.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go down to A&M. A&M as good as Georgia's defense?
No.
Okay. 26 points. How about Tennessee? Is Tennessee close to Georgia? It's comparable. They got a pretty
Tennessee's got a good defense. They're not as good as Georgia. They're not as good as Alabama's defense either. Just so we're clear, Alabama fans.
34 points is what they scored against
them. Can Alabama hold Georgia's offense to significantly less than their season average in points? I think for Alabama to win this game, they're going to have to keep Georgia in the 20s. I think anything in the 20s, and you're going to have one of those scenarios where this is going to be a back and forth 4-quarter game. And, you're going to be going into the fourth quarter and the score is going to be something like 27-21. And Alabama's going to have the football down 6 with a chance to possibly go down and take the lead late in this football game. Can Alabama's defense keep Georgia in the 20s? I think as an Alabama fan, it's got to be your hope, because I think it's your best chance of winning this game. And as a Georgia fan, the question becomes, can Georgia's offense one more time just do what we've seen them do over and over again all season long, which is just refuse to be stopped. Whatever you try to do, they seem to always have an answer for it. And so that to me is the biggest matchup. It's the biggest key to the game.
We're going to come back after these and talk more keys to the game for the SEC championship game. But first, I want you to know about Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/LockedOnCollege. First deposit match up to $100. With basketball season here, you can pick combo projections across football and basketball for the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that include 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. For example, LeBron James and Travis Kelce at a 10.5 combo of 3 points made plus receptions. Sounds good. Make some threes, catch some receptions. Both of them together, 10 and a half or more. Want to play alongside some of the Prize Picks favorite players like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz? You can now find community plays under the promo tab in the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the Prize Pick community each week. Go over there right now, find a player, do better or worse than their projections. You don't want to place anybody from Vegas or Sharks or conglomerate teams, and algorithm of matrices are not involved here. PrizePicks.com/LockedOnCollege. First deposit match up to $100 right now. You gave the first of stopping Alabama's ability to stop the offense. That, again, metrically proven. Georgia has not been able to be stopped at all. And even in the highest of level of games, they have scored at will for the most part. There's been a couple of miscues, a couple of interceptions, a couple of balls bouncing weird ways, muff punts, fumble on the first drive, things like that, which could happen in the SEC championship game. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. It very well could happen.
You know, just in an effort to I don't care what anybody thinks about me, but certainly not an Alabama fan. No. But in an effort to be somewhat fair and balanced here, Alabama is the best statistical points allowed defense that Georgia will have played so far this season. And so if there is a team that's going to hold Georgia well below, we're talking about 10 to 12 points below their season average is what I think Alabama needs to do to give their offense a chance to win this game.
28 points.
There's a team that's going to try to do that. Alabama, you would have to say, is best suited of all of the cupcake nobodies that Georgia has played this season.
30% lower. You have to get Georgia 30% lower. Alabama fan, this is what we're trying to tell you. If you think you can score 28 on us, what you're saying, and which is comparable to your average points per game, that you're saying that you need to limit Mike Bobo, Carson Beck, and the entire onslaught of receivers that are better than Kool-Aid 30% lower than what they've done all year. Right. That's a tall task. Is all we're saying.
It's a bit of a lot to ask, but that to me, I think is the key.
Here's another key. And I take this. By the way, I'm going to bring up Eric Kane of Locked On Tennessee. Go give him a listen and a follow. He gets being a fan for his team, and he loves being a fan. We're going to shout out to him. Okay, really
Locked
quick.
On Vols.
Locked On Vols. Go follow him. Great dude.
Alabama fans loving this. Georgia fans loving this. Everyone loves Tennessee that's listening to this podcast right now.
Yes, correct. Okay. Here's what I'm going to say, because I've listened to a couple of other people from Bama, and what they are saying is long, sustained drives against Georgia running the ball is going to beat them. Daniel, I have to tell you, for Alabama, if you all want to win, the key to the game for Georgia is not keeping long, sustained drives. We have proven that is the recipe where you go die against our defense. If you give Kirby and Shu and our linebackers enough reps to recognize something and enough time on the field, they come up with stops. Okay?
Yep. Like you can get to the mid-20s.
Yes.
Doing that. That's the point, that we're sort of making opposite sides of the same point. If you go this long sustained drive route, you can get to the low to mid-20s. But that's it.
Okay, so if that's your success and drain the clock, the key to Georgia is going to be third down stops against Alabama. Third down is going to be, now our defense, while susceptible at times, is actually pretty dang good on third down, Daniel. Just like Carson Beck, you get him in third and long, by the way, and you think, oh, we got him where we want him. Turns out you're wrong. Turns out Carson Beck is throwing for an average of a first down every pass attempt. So kind of not
tough to hold them in third and long in that situation.
Georgia is going to have to get Alabama off the field on third down, because I do anticipate that this will be Nick Saban's trench warfare game. You heard it, Kendall Milton today talking about practice. You heard Kirby Smart talk. You hear everybody talking about when Bama and Georgia play, it is trench warfare. Now, if you're going to do long sustained drives, Georgia's going to have to get off the field on third down. And if Alabama is able to go down the field, then 21, 25 points, something in that range is going to be where likely it might land. But if not, if Georgia holds on third down, if Milroe cannot run around and scramble for a first down, then you're toast because now your game plan of long sustained drives is cut short, and you give the ball back to Mike Bobo, who this just in, unless Kirby says time for a death march, Mike Bobo is not looking for long sustained drives. He is looking for explosive, get me points. And by the way, y'all made fun of Kirby, and he let the bit drop from the horse's mouth on that one, by the way, because he wants explosive points as well. Like there's no two ways around it. Before, Kirby was trench run, gut it out. No more. He's out for blood, and he is swinging, and he is telling Bobo, go for broke. So 3rd down for Bama. If you're 1 of 8, horrible day. You have to be 50% or better on 3rd down. And I think Georgia stops them.
Yeah. I mean, it is it's going to be a huge key in the game. It always is. Turnovers and 3rd downs, who's able to get off the field, who's able to stay on the field. And so I don't think it's a stretch in any game to say that 3rd down efficiency, 3rd down numbers are going to be keys to the game, but especially in a game where one of the two teams is, you've got to think, is trying to make this a slugfest, get it into the 4th quarter, because Georgia has had to come from behind several times this year. Georgia is comfortable in these games, but so is Alabama. Obviously, as recently as last week, when they had to come from behind against Auburn, people forget that midway through the 3rd quarter, the LSU was ahead, and Alabama finished that game with 21 straight points to win by 2 touchdowns. But LSU's ahead in that game. By the way, conveniently around the time that Jaden Daniels gets knocked out of the game, that's when that all happened.
Hey, that was a clean hit.
Could have happened to anybody.
Could have happened to anybody, Bama fans say. What do you want him to do? Not try to tackle him?
Just so happens it happened to the guy that's made other dirty hits on other players throughout his career.
No Bama player has ever cheated. Ever.
Couldn't be me.
Nope.
Couldn't be me begging the committee to rank me higher so that I might get in, even though I have more losses than any other team.
What coach wouldn't do that? Fighting for his players. You want a coach fighting for your players.
I want a coach that coaches and wins the games that he coaches in.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay. I think 3rd down efficiency is even more important in a game for Alabama when they're trying to drag this thing out.
I'm going to pull a Nick Saban right now, by the way. You tell me when this is.
Halftime interview, making love eyes at the camera.
There it is.
Can't decide. Am I supposed to look at the reporter asking me the question, or am I supposed to look at the camera?
Am I supposed to make googly eyes at the camera?
Am I talking to America now, or the... All right, we got more to talk about, more keys to this game, which we will discuss right after this.
But this first is LinkedIn, linkedinjobs.com, linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Post your job for free. That's right, for free. And you get access to millions and millions of people that are all over the world who have connections, people that they know that's going to fit your team perfectly. Maybe you're in the market for a head coach. Maybe you thought you had the guy, and then your connection said, no, you don't have the guy. I know a better guy. Whoopsies. And you were forced to give up on a very comparable, very confident coach to the boosters who pay. Maybe this is your situation. And instead of being embarrassed with the hire, instead of being like, oh no, I did a horrible job. What if you went to linkedin.com/lockedoncollege?
That'd be better.
And you got the right person for your team? Skip the embarrassing interview questions that you have to make up and instead use a filter that LinkedIn Jobs gives you. Right candidate for your team. Post your job for free right now. LinkedIn.com/lockedoncollege.
Now, we're talking about keys to the game. First, do want to mention, not too late to get in on the home field gift card. We are giving away a $75 home field gift card to a listener of the pod. And so if you would like to be registered to win said home field gift card, all you have to do is send us an email at lockedonbulldogs@gmail.com. Just send us an email saying you want to enter to win the gift card. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel and to the audio platform of your choice to be eligible. But send us an email. We will choose a week. We'll announce a week from last Monday. So this coming Monday after the SEC championship game, we'll announce 2 weeks from 2 Mondays ago.
He's trying. Look, y'all, math is hard for him.
Math is hard for a lot of us. It's $75 to home field. All you have to do is send us an email and you are registered to win. There's a link to the email in the show description, or you can just remember it as lockedonbulldogs@gmail.com. Now, a softball, a layup would be to say turnovers are going to be a key to this game. Sure. But actually, credit to Jalen Milroe here. You know, early, we all remember the Texas game, right? No. Do we remember the Texas game, Alabama? It was at home. It was a home game.
So they must have won that.
Well, Jalen Milroe a little turnover prone in that game, and so he's really cleaned that up. Only 6 interceptions. Kind of the rest came sprinkled throughout the season. You realize Alabama won the turnover battle 3-0 last week against Auburn. They won the turnover battle 3-0, and they won on a Hail Mary.
Huh.
So, wow. That's a weird stat. It's a really weird stat. Alabama's done a good job of not turning the ball over and forcing turnovers. Georgia hasn't really done a great job of forcing turnovers this year, but they have done a pretty good job of not turning the ball over. Obviously, last week against Georgia Tech, the ball was bouncing all kinds of weird. If either team gets into a problem with turnovers in this game, the other team's going to take advantage and they're going to win the game. It's not like that's an obvious key to the game, but we don't really need to discuss that one at length. I think a secondary key to the game is going to be the Georgia secondary's ability to not give up plays over the top. I think you mentioned Alabama's game plan and what it's going to be early on, and I do think that's what we're going to see from Alabama early on. And I think Alabama will have success early on, as everyone all season has had against Georgia early on. And then when Kirby and Glenn begin to make adjustments, and again, when you're matching wits between Tommy Rees and Glenn Schumann, I feel fairly good about which side I'm on. Do you, Alabama fan, feel fairly good about which side you're on in that battle of football acumen? When Glenn Schumann and company start to make adjustments and the Alabama offense begins to stall,
yes,
I believe, and the Georgia offense continues to have success, move the ball down the field, hopefully scoring touchdowns, but definitely scoring points. When that happens, I think you're going to see Alabama try to loosen up this defense and take some shots down the field, because they're going to realize that's the way that they're going to win this game. Georgia is obviously vulnerable in the secondary. There are spots of vulnerability, certainly at inside linebacker, but also in the secondary. And Alabama's got receivers. They have receivers that can potentially take advantage of those matchups. And Jalen Milroe has proven that when he can elude pressure, which he is often under because he plays in front of one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen, one of the most overrated offensive lines in the history of college football.
I was just, again, I only say this, Bama fan, because you mocked me so much. When I said that preseason, y'all got so heated at me. How's that go?
They're big and they're physical. Okay. And they can't pass block worth a darn.
Nope.
Like at all.
Nope.
So when Jalen Milroe is able to avoid pressure, which he is constantly under, but when he's able to avoid it and he spins the ball down the field, he can throw a really nice deep ball and he can put it on receivers, and they have guys that can go over the top. And so Can Georgia's safeties stay disciplined in the run game?
See, there it is.
And disciplined in the pass game. There's a lot that's going to be talked about this week on CJ Allen and Wilson in the middle, the two freshman middle linebackers. I actually think much more important to Georgia's success on Saturday will be the play of two veterans, Javon Bullard and Malachi Starks. I think way that those two guys play on Saturday will dictate the outcome of the game, because they are going to be asked to read, diagnose, and then make plays, whether it's plays on the QB run or scramble or the run game or the short and intermediate stuff, or whether it's plays over the top on the back end when Dalen Everett is playing chase behind his man. That's going to happen.
I'm not ready for it.
It's going to happen. And the question is, will 24 be in position to make a play, or won't he? That's the key, Georgia fans. You need these two safeties to play huge. They're really good players. Are they going to come up big in the biggest moment?
I have no problem about outside coverage. I really, really don't. Even we're talking about Dalen Everett. You're right. The safeties are huge. The inside linebackers are huge. The key to Georgia's defense is Milroe. You can get your hands on Milroe. Now, the dude's made of granite, and he's
that collision with the Auburn defender. It's not. First of all, the fact that Auburn defender stopped him is one of the most insane things I've ever seen in my entire life. But secondly, the fact that Milroe just popped up and walked off the field, I literally thought he's concussed at minimum.
Sincerely, the guy has a broken collarbone, right? He's got to have a crack in that thing. No, the
man is made of absolute granite. Yeah. Hitting him on the ground is ridiculous.
Okay. There it is. You can get to him, you can pressure him, and you can hit him. The problem for most teams is one hit doesn't do it. You need multiple hits. He's Kendall Milton playing quarterback is what it is. Okay. You got to bring him down. When you put a hand on him, he has to come down. And right now, our tackling ability has been less than stellar.
Less than ideal.
That's less than ideal. The key to the game is, when you get to him, can you bring him down? Can our safeties not have to play cleanup for you in the run game in the alley? Will our linebackers have free release to come try to tackle him? Will our safeties be allowed to cover that? Because Auburn knows. Okay. By the way, really quick, turnover margin. If Alabama fans said, hey, we win the turnover battle, we win the game. Georgia's currently 80th in the nation in turnover margin with a -1. So we haven't taken care of the ball and we haven't gotten the ball back. And we're perfect. So,
meanwhile, you had a not good Auburn team.
Not good.
And you were +3.
And barely eked out a miraculous thing.
So,
again, weird things happen. SEC championship, Georgia, Bama. I get it. But the narrative you're spinning is not correct. That's all we're saying. Do getting turnovers help you? Yes, they do. Limiting possessions helps.
Yeah.
Is it the end all be all this year for Georgia? No. We've won in spite of that. Okay. Here's the other key to the game. For Georgia offensively, they're not going to abandon the run. Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey, which we're still getting word on Ladd, admittedly so. And guess what?
He's going to play.
He's going to play. That's why he sat out last week, Daniel. But do you know when you and I will both know that?
On Saturday at 3:00.
At 3:00 on Saturday.
Yeah.
Correct. That's when we will know when he plays or not. So stop speculating. I have no worry about our pass game. If we keep that run, again, this is if our run game is on point against Alabama's trenches. Again, if our offensive line is who we are, Kendall Milton, Dejon Edwards keep doing their thing. This game is, if we come out first drive and we're rolling in the run game, I am pouring bourbon early because
Spoiler alert, guys. Don't let him talk to you this way. Don't let him insult you like this, Alabama fans. I would let a lot slide on this podcast. I will not. He's pouring bourbon early no matter what. Like no matter what's happening, it's already started well before kickoff. Like it's not, come on. Don't let him do that to you.
This has been Locked On Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. We'll be back tomorrow breaking down the official prediction for this game, as well as some other locks. Your boy's been on heaters. Follow us along for championship weekend. He is Daniel. I'm Clint. We will see y'all tomorrow.
See y'all.
You are Locked On